Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the new studios for Grafton Community Television located at 26 Providence Road, our first new video shoot at this location. I have a guest in the studio today. Her name is Gatti. She's the External Programming Director for the Master Gardeners Association. And we're here today to talk about an upcoming series of lectures that will be held at the community barn. And I don't know the difference between a petunia and a poppy. So are these courses for newcomers or for people that are experienced?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Right. Well, thanks for having me here today.
You're welcome.
On behalf of the
Thanks for
Master
coming
Gardeners. Great. Well, the program that we're focusing on today is our Home Horticultural Lecture Series. And it is really for the home gardener.
Okay.
So we get people at all levels, novices, people who have some experience, and then some who might be a little more knowledgeable, but they want to learn more.
Okay.
And this is a really popular program. We've had it in place for close to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's offered twice a year. So we give people the opportunity to pick spring or fall, and we move the locations around as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this been a recurring thing in Grafton, or is this the first time?
This is actually our second time in Grafton.
Okay.
Last fall, we offered it for the first time at the Brigham Hill Barn at the Community Harvest Project Farm.
Right.
And they've been great hosts, and it's a wonderful facility. So we thought we'd come back and ask if they would host us again, and they were really happy to do that.
So does the presentation cover everything related to gardening, soup to nuts, or do people say, I'd like to hear about topic X, Y, or Z?
Right.
How do they
Good
determine
question.
the syllabus?
Well, the syllabus is actually determined ahead of time, and there are 10 different topics that are selected. Some are core topics that we hold all the time. So actually, we determine what the syllabus will look like before the session begins.
Okay.
But it's a whole range of topics that home gardeners, or any gardener really, needs to know about. And that includes how to get great soil, a little bit of botany, so how do these plants work?
Okay.
It's important to know that. We also focus on perennials and perennial plant care, pests and diseases, which is always important, especially in a summer like this. We also focus on weeds, so we have an expert talking about weeds. And for the weeds session, people can bring in samples of weeds from their home and get some information about them.
Oh, wow.
What are they and how do I deal with them? So that's fun.
What an interesting service.
It is.
What's the most common question you get at one of these seminars?
Oh gosh, common question. We get a lot of questions about when to plant, and when to transplant perennials. That's a big one. Also about pests. What do we do about, Japanese beetles? What do we do about certain kinds of worms? That sort of thing. Comes up a lot.
Wow. How many new invasive species do people have to deal with in their gardens?
How many? There are many. In terms of the plants themselves, yes, there are many. We do focus or include information on Japanese knotweed, which is very invasive, on Oriental bittersweet vine, which is terrible. And another one that's become more of an issue is called black swallowwort. And it's a problem because it tries to mimic the milkweed plant. So the caterpillars for the monarch butterflies, which need to be on milkweed plants to develop and grow and turn into the butterfly, are attracted to the swallowwort vine, but they can't eat it. It won't sustain them, so they die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a big problem.
So if I have a garden,
Yep.
how do these invasive species get there?
Well, lots of different ways. I mean, sometimes you may get some seeds that have blown there,
Okay.
or been dropped by a bird.
Okay.
You bring in plants from a nursery or a garden center. Sometimes there's weeds in them, and you don't really notice them.
Okay.
And then once they take hold, it's very hard to get rid of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as just plucking them out of the bed.
No, because a lot of these weeds that are so invasive, if you cut them or cut the roots, what'll happen is they'll just send out another shoot very quickly.
Really?
Yeah, so they send these runners or rhizomes with runners on them. Yeah, it's really tough to manage.
So what do the master gardeners recommend for that type of invasive plant? What do people say?
It varies a little bit. For for things like the Oriental bittersweet and swallowwort, we actually do try to remove them.
Mhm.
So it's really a process of digging and trying to get as much of that root as you can.
Sure.
And if you can do that, it'll manage them a little bit better. For something like a Japanese knotweed that's very invasive and very, very aggressive, sometimes you need to bring in a professional for that, because the organic methods don't work so well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a garden?
I do.
Okay.
It's a small garden.
Do you get to attend these courses? And
Yeah, well, I am a master gardener, so actually in 2014 I went through this program. I was still working, and I really I always wanted to become a master gardener,
Okay.
but I couldn't do it at the time, because this program is a little bit lighter in that there's no homework, there's no testing, there's no volunteering required, which is required if you go through the full master gardener program, which is much more robust and duration is much longer.
So there's actually a course you have to take to go through a series of steps to get to that level of master gardener.
Well, this course isn't required. It's not a prerequisite, but often it's a good idea for people to take it, and we like them to try it, take it, and then often they'll move into the master gardener program.
Right. Because my grandmother thought she knew everything about the garden. But so,
Right.
So why would I, a gardener, want to achieve master level status?
Well, if you wanted to go that route, it's really a learning experience. It really takes you through the depth of similar topics as in this Home Hort lecture series, but much deeper. It's taught by instructors are from the university extension programs, so from UMass, UConn, URI, and so forth, and they're experts. But it is a very intense program.
Wow.
So I did that 3 years ago, and enjoyed it. But it's almost a full year.
What was the homework like?
Well, every week we had homework assignments based on what we had read and what we covered. We had a midterm, which I thought was challenging, and then we have a final exam as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, which is why some people want this program first or instead.
Right, to get their feet wet.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about that program. So you said this was the second year in Grafton, correct?
Second year in Grafton.
Okay, how'd the first year go? How was the attendance? You
It was
sell
good.
out or?
No, well, we have a variety of facilities. Now, Brigham Hill Barn, we can take, I think, up to 60 or 65 people.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. I think we had about 20. So for the first time in that location, we thought that was great. And we're hoping for more this fall. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
That's great. In addition to the chat today about Master Gardeners,
Yes.
we wanted to talk about the actual event.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I should give you the opportunity to do that.
Right.
Where's it going to be held? What are the times? And
Yep.
it's more than one event. It's 5 or 6 events, isn't it?
Well, it's one program, but it is actually a series of 10 topics that are covered one night a week over 10 consecutive weeks.
That's where we're going.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So what I'll do is I'll let you talk to the folks at home at that
Okay,
camera, and you give them
absolutely.
all that information, the where, the when, the how, and we'll be certain to, we'll put your website and everything there at the
Oh,
bottom through
that's
the magic of television. It appears at the bottom of the
that's
screen.
great.
Yes,
All right,
I'll let you
terrific.
take it away. Go
All
ahead.
right, thanks, Bob. So the Home Horticultural Lecture Series, as I said, offers or covers 10 different topics over 10 consecutive weeks. We pick a certain weekday, and this fall we've picked Wednesdays. So for 10 Wednesdays in a row, participants will come to the Brigham Hill Barn, and each week they will be there for 90 minutes for the session itself, and the instructor will take them through a series of PowerPoints, information, there may be handouts, and they'll learn each night about, whether it's botany or it's soil or perennials. That will be the focus of the evening. A lot of the instructors bring samples or resources, which is great, and there's two kind of interesting things. One is the weeds, which I mentioned before. You can bring samples of your weeds, but what we also are doing now is one of the evenings we bring in our Master Gardener soil testing team, and we let participants know a few weeks ahead of time so they can bring samples of soil from their own gardens, and those are tested for pH during the session. So it's kind of behind the scenes while they're there, and when they leave that evening, they get to take home their soil sample and the information about the pH. And that's great because they may find out, oh, this is the reason a certain plant won't live in my garden. The pH needs to be more acidic or it needs to be more basic. So it is 10 weeks in a row. We do skip any significant or major holidays. This fall starts September 11th and it runs for 11 weeks because we're skipping Yom Kippur, and it concludes on November 20th. The cost of the program is $250, which we feel is pretty good value because you're coming for 10 different sessions, averages out to about $25 a session, which we think is great. And it seems that that's really popular as well with our audiences. I think that's...
And how about a website?
Oh, website, yes, absolutely. So the website is our Master Gardener's website. It's www.mastergardeners.org. And right on that home page, in the middle of that page, you will see information and a button to learn more and register. So you have until September 11th to register, so we hope more of you will sign up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have an interest in the garden or all things gardening, this sounds like the place you need to be. And I recommend you check it out. Nice to have something new and exciting in Grafton take place.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially when it's outdoors and beautiful weather like we have today. Well, it is a little humid, but it's a nice day. So my guest in studio has been Chris Gatti, and she's an external programming coordinator for the Master Gardeners Association. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you,
Appreciate
Rob.
it.
Really a pleasure. We appreciate it.
Thank you for watching.